Reading the memo brought back memories I wished to forget. Amy, my faithful but cheating ex-wife, is now my boss. How ironic. I should have expected this, but I was just relieved to be out of the marriage. Now it's haunting me even more. Amy once said I was a heart attack waiting to happen, and she was right. My doctor had warned me, but I ignored it, thinking my hard work for the family was justified. Amy was always ambitious, craving luxuries like our mansion, the pool, and an unused country club membership. It was my duty to provide, or so I believed. The love of my life is now in charge of my life again. This realization snapped me out of my apathy. I couldn't work under her, not after learning about her affairs. I packed my things, picked up my resignation letter, and left the office for the last time, leaving the letter, phone, car keys, and credit card on Megan's desk. It's been a pleasure working with you, Megan. I wish you the best. You're a valuable employee, and I appreciate all your help. Take care, and don't let her mess with you. If she does, use me as a threat to get fair treatment. So, you're really leaving, Sam? This isn't just a threat? She asked, waving my letter. Yes, Megan. You know I can't work for someone I don't respect. With all those horrible details, she's lost any chance of my respect. I'll miss you, Sam. She'll be furious when she finds out. She's been pestering me about your workload. I didn't tell her anything, but I felt like I was betraying you. I'm sorry. I should have spoken up sooner. I smiled. Don't worry. You have to protect your job. There's nothing you could have said to change things. I knew it was over when the merger memo came. I have no secrets here, as you know. What should I say when she asks where you are? Tell her the truth. She won't be able to twist it. Do what she wants as long as it doesn't compromise your values. It was my pleasure, dear. I'll stay in touch, I said, shaking her hand and kissing it. As I was getting into my car, a black limousine arrived at the office and Amy stepped out with two well-dressed men, looking every bit the high-status businesswoman. In reality, though, we all knew she was just a well-paid escort with a title. She looked professional in her business suit, but she always looked good in any outfit. She didn't see me, which was perfect. I waited a couple of minutes for her to enter the building before leaving the parking lot for the last time. I had settled my affairs, sold what I needed, and put everything else in storage. My doctor had advised a change of scenery, and I finally took his advice. I spent the next 3 months traveling, sightseeing, and taking a break from work stress. Eventually, I ended up in a small town with a temperate climate, friendly residents, and excellent fishing. I rented a small 3-bedroom cottage with a workshop by the lake, with an option to buy. It had everything I needed to start fresh. Sitting on the back porch, sipping a cold drink, I wondered how Amy reacted to my disappearance. I decided to call Megan the next day to find out. Hey Megan, it's Sam. How's it going over there? Sam, it's so good to hear from you. I was starting to worry you'd disappeared. I laughed, sitting on my deck watching the water. Not quite vanished, but the view here is amazing. Wish you were here. How's everything there? Sam, you sure know how to stir things up. Amy has been causing chaos, laying people off left and right. Kevin Paxton quit last week after she moved him to a windowless basement office. He couldn't stand it and resigned. I'm sorry to hear that. Kevin was one of the best. What is Amy thinking? She's going to ruin everything. How is she treating you? Megan chuckled. She's frustrated. She tried to fire me because I let you go without her talking to you first. I told her she could try to fire me, but I'd take her and the company to court. I reminded her of what you said, and she backed off, realizing her actions could backfire. Megan giggled and continued. So now I'm the secretary to the demanding executive VP of operations. I guess it's about keeping your enemies closer. I told her I wanted a substantial pay raise with the promotion. She wasn't happy, but just grinned. In the end, I got what I wanted. Megan updated me on the latest office gossip. I was glad my departure had disrupted Amy's plans. I changed my life for my own good, and Amy's presence pushed me to stop procrastinating. This was just a bonus. However, I worried it might affect everyone else, which wasn't my intention. The next morning, I ran out of sugar and decided to visit a nearby store. Their lot borders mine, with an open paddock in between. As I left the store, I almost bumped into a young couple. After apologizing, I noticed a stressed woman in her early 20s behind the counter. Can I help you? She asked, as the baby started whimpering and a couple of cars pulled up to the gas pumps. She sighed, Where is Jillian when I need her? I smiled and said, Can I help? I'm Sam and I live nearby. It looks like the baby needs attention and I just need some sugar. I can help out until you're done or until Jillian arrives. Why don't I handle the customers while you take care of your baby? She smiled back. I'm Vivian, and I'd be very grateful for your help, Sam. I took care of the travelers while they filled their tanks, washing windshields and chatting with them. After collecting their payments, I returned to the store, where another customer had just walked in. I went over to chat with him. What can I do for you, sir? Just looking at your fishing rods, he replied. I'm on a business trip and my car's in for repairs. It'll take all day, so I thought I'd do some fishing to pass the time. He looked like a businessman, much like I was a year ago. Seeing he was about to buy cheap gear, I asked, Do you fish often? He shook his head. Not really, but I'd like to if I had time. I smiled and convinced him that investing in better equipment would increase his chances of catching fish and enjoying his time. I then helped a dozen other customers before Vivian finished settling her daughter. Thank you so much, Sam. Why does it always get busy when you least expect it? Bessie doesn't usually fuss now, and Jillian is always here by this time. I grinned. To explain it, I'd need to understand quantum mechanics, which I don't. Maybe you need more reliable help. Vivian's face fell, and I quickly apologized, realizing I had upset her. With sad eyes and a tear, she said, Sam, it's not your fault, but I'm a widow. Vivian told me her husband, Greg, an Army reservist, had been eliminated in a training accident. His truck flipped over and he died, never knowing he was going to be a father. Bessie was likely conceived the night before he left. Wiping her tears, Vivian said, He would have been a good father. He had so many ideas, and this place was one of them, gesturing to the store and land. Over the next few weeks, I often helped out at the store. I know what you're thinking, and you're probably right. Vivian was beautiful, and my hormones had been dormant for a while, but it also restored my sense of self-worth. Amy's infidelity had made me feel unneeded and inadequate as a provider. That was the final insult. Vivian seemed to understand my need to help. She never directly asked for it, but always appreciated it. Spending time with her made me feel good. She was fun, caring, and grateful, which was exactly what I needed. I was heading home from another day at the store when my phone interrupted my thoughts. Hi, Sam. Lucky you're not a secretary. You wouldn't last a day with your phone manners, a woman's voice purred. Hi, Megan. You caught me off guard. It's almost 7 p.m. Is something urgent? Megan's tone changed. I waited until I got home to call because I think my work phone is tapped. Sam, you need to be careful. She hired a private investigator to follow you. She asked me to set it up, and I can't refuse without risking my job. But I wanted to warn you so you can lay low, I sighed. Is she trying to intimidate me to pass away? I don't know, Sam. She's stressed, working long hours to turn things around. She looks older and has gained weight. She can't be pregnant, or maybe she could, but not by me. Megan giggled. No, it's from stress and comfort eating. She's frantic to find you and blames me for letting you leave without talking to her. Good grief. Ignoring her is useless. Here's an idea. In a week, give her a fake report saying the investigator couldn't find me, but confirm my phone is active. Tell her you convinced me to talk to her. Megan sounded hesitant. Are you sure, Sam? I don't feel good about this. Don't worry, Megan. Look after yourself first. I appreciate your help, but don't put yourself at risk. A week later, Megan texted me before work. PH02, BB2DayB, ready for. Call today sometime. I chuckled at the acronyms. BB was for bad boss. Damn these young people and their tech. I wondered what I'd say to Amy, but decided to figure it out when the time came. As promised, the call came. I answered Amy's number. Yes, Amy, what do you want? She seemed caught off guard by my abrupt greeting. What's that cow my secretary been up to? I hung up. The phone rang again. Damn it, Sam. I hung up again. The next call, Megan quickly answered. Are you going to talk to her or not? I grinned. Tell her to be polite next time and she might get more than 2 words out of me. I'm sick of her attitude. Megan chuckled. My pleasure, Sam. Talk to you later. 5 minutes later, the phone rang again. Sam? Yes, Amy. What do you want? A pause. Can I talk to you for a minute? I'm listening. Another pause. Megan cried on your shoulder. What did she say? Megan is very capable. It doesn't matter what she told me. Your so-called secretary is the only reason you're talking to me now. You should be grateful to her. So, what do you want? I thought I heard a sigh. I'm sorry, Sam. I'm just a little cranky lately. I know Megan is doing a good job and I appreciate it. Amy was trying to diffuse my irritation, but I wondered why she gave in so quickly. Get to the point, Amy. What do you want? I heard Amy suppress a sob. I really need your advice, Sam. I thought we would work together as a team, but you quit and disappeared before I could explain. I snickered. I saw the writing on the wall, Amy. When your company bought mine, I didn't see the point in staying to be humiliated again. So have a happy life, Amy. Goodbye. No, please, Sam, I need to talk to you in person, not over the phone. Just give me 30 minutes to pitch my idea. I'm begging you. I don't know who else to turn to. I gritted my teeth, wanting to hang up and forget her. After a long pause, I finally said, "Okay, Amy, but I'm not chasing you. You come to my office. I'll arrange it with Megan, and she'll let you know when and where." I hung up before she could respond, and half expected her to call back, but the phone stayed silent all night. Amy was annoyed. "Why do I have to go through Megan? Why can't you just give me Sam's address so I can go alone?" Megan gripped the steering wheel, her knuckles turning white. "Amy, this is what Sam wants. He doesn't want to see you. In his words, my way or the highway. I don't enjoy sitting in the car with you for hours either, but if he wants me to bring you, you'll have to deal with it. I won't be there for your conversation, though. I'll make myself scarce." I started chopping vegetables for the Italian sauce I was making for dinner. Megan had called 30 minutes ago to let me know they'd arrive soon, which meant they'd be here in about 20 minutes. I wanted Amy to feel uncomfortable, so I stayed busy to put her at a disadvantage. 15 minutes later, I heard a knock. "It's open. Come in." "Well, don't you look completely at home," remarked Megan with a genuine smile. I chuckled. "Hi, Megan. Good to see you too. You look good." I saw Amy standing behind her looking worried. "Amy?" That was all I said, but I noticed her tired eyes and weight gain. Megan's estimate of 10 pounds might have been a bit harsh, but it wasn't far off. "I could use a drink," Megan said, giving me a friendly hug and a kiss on the cheek. "The country air suits you. You look great." "There's wine, beer, or Coke in the fridge," I replied, holding up my grubby hands. "Want something to drink?" I glanced at Amy. Amy noticed my cold tone and lowered her head, realizing this meeting would be tough. "Hi, Sam. Wine would be nice. Megan's right. You look good." Megan opened a bottle of white wine, poured 2 glasses, and handed one to Amy. "Which way to the view?" she asked, waving the wine bottle. "I'll leave you two alone. Remember," she pointed the bottle at me, "I'm not here to clean up a crime scene, so behave." I smiled and pointed to the back door. "Don't worry about me. There's a fishing rod on the deck if you want to try it out." Megan rolled her eyes. "Not likely. I wouldn't know what to do with a fish even if I caught one," she said as she slipped out the door, leaving Amy and me alone. "Take a seat and tell me why you're here," I said, pointing to a chair and returning to chopping herbs. Amy hesitantly sat down, trying to lighten the mood. "Nice place you have here. Small, but nice." I tensed, my irritation showing. "This isn't small talk, Amy," I said, focusing on the basil. "Just say what you need to, and we can get back to our lives." Amy sighed and took a sip of wine. "Can I ask one question?" "Ask as many as you want, Amy. Doesn't mean I'll answer, but try." "Why did you leave?" she asked, watching for any sign of anger. Knowing my temper, she could see I was trying to stay calm. I dropped the knife and turned to her. "You don't need a degree to understand my motives, Amy. You're a vice president now. You must have some brains. Figure it out." Amy looked irritated. "That was a low blow, even for you, Sam. I'm capable of doing my job, but I'm not a mind reader." I folded my arms and stared at her. Amy seemed to wilt under my gaze. "You're right, Amy. You're not a mind reader, and few people are. But in your job, you need to read people, understand and guess their motives. A good manager finds and utilizes their employees' talents for the company's benefit. It has to be a win-win situation. Do you really want to know what I think of you and your talents, Amy?" She shivered at my question, clearly expecting an answer that wouldn't boost her confidence. But she squared her shoulders. "Okay, Sam, I'll bite. What do you think of my corporate talents?" I almost laughed at her weak attempt at teasing and returned to cooking. "You're a bulldozer, Amy. You have the finesse of a bull in a china shop." Her open mouth said it all. "Bulldozer," she repeated, stunned. "Care to elaborate on that?" I smiled inwardly as I continued chopping. "Yes, Amy. Bulldozer. You take the most direct path to your goal without considering the effort or analyzing the situation. You don't think about who you can help or who can help you. You only think about yourself, charging ahead and ignoring anyone in your way. That's why you're in your current unenviable position. You've burned bridges and ruined opportunities." I saw a tear in her eye. For the first time, she seemed at a loss. "No, I don't want to," she said weakly. "Everything I did was for us. But your ego got in the way. I know I hurt you, and I'm sorry. If you had stayed, I could have explained my plan. You still haven't told me why you left. I tasted the sauce and added more salt. I saw the writing on the wall, Amy. I know you're here to cut the deadwood. You're the person sent to remove those who needed to go for the company to move forward. I agree it was necessary. I just made it easier for you to make those decisions. I saw the anticipation in her eyes. This was the conversation she wanted. Sam Beckman, for a smart man, you sure do some stupid things. I had no intention of firing you. If you were smart, you'd know that. Everything I did was for us, to make your dreams come true. That's quite a trick. It tugs at my heartstrings and strokes my ego simultaneously. But I never said you weren't good at stroking. I remember countless times we sat in the kitchen talking about how the fools at the top were ruining the company. I believed in you, Sam. I believed you could get the company back on its feet. Now I have the chance to help you turn your ideas into reality. I worked hard to give you that chance, telling my bosses I could make your company profitable. And what did that get me? Now it's the "it's all your fault" angle. You've left me to my fate without hearing me out. I keep fighting, working long hours on what you said could be done. All I need is a little help from the one man I've ever loved. It's you, Sam. We can sit back and reap the rewards of our efforts. I love you, and this is our future. I'm not naive enough to think we'll get back together, though I dream about it. But I see now that we can have a good business relationship and be happy. So, what do you say? How about we call a truce, start working together, and show them we're a force to be reckoned with? Amy took another sip of wine and leaned back, her fervor fading. She had made her point, and now it was up to me. While she talked, I finished the sauce and put water on to boil for the spaghetti. The only thing I could think of were Julius Caesar's last words, "Et tu, brute." Betrayal was my first thought when I found out about her actions. Despite everything, Amy was very attractive. One thought kept me sharp, encapsulating her past and present actions. Good, Amy. A good manager considers all aspects before deciding. Let's say I buy into your brilliant plan. Why do you think I can help you? Amy's eyes flashed with annoyance. I've told you I believe you can do it. You have the credibility within the company to get the support of the employees. They trust and respect you. Your obstacles were with upper management, and my position as VP has removed them. I smiled sadly at her naivety. You don't see that your very presence as VP undermines my ability to gain support. But I'm not surprised. You refuse to believe you've done anything wrong. Others see it differently, Amy. I saw the concern on Amy's face as I continued. Have you ever wondered why you struggle to gain support for your ideas? The rumor mill has done a thorough job informing everyone about your business practices and ethics, and not a word of it came from me. Amy's face froze. I was treading into territory she wanted to avoid. People see you as someone who slept her way to the top, leaving more deserving employees in the dust. They know about our failed marriage and how I kept my dignity and their respect by divorcing you. If I accepted your offer, it would signal that everything you did was acceptable. I'd go from a wronged husband to a disgraced employee, losing their respect and my effectiveness. Tears formed in Amy's eyes as my words sank in. Her confidence was cracking. I don't believe you, Sam. I've shown I'm willing to work hard. I took a powerful position to get the job done. I'm capable, or Jason wouldn't have given me the job. I shook my head, my anger turning to sadness. Amy truly believed her own narrative, perhaps out of self-preservation. Did Jason approach you with the takeover offer, or did you push him? Amy wiped her face with a tissue from her purse and straightened up. Hopefully it doesn't matter what you or anyone else thinks. I'm not Jason's puppet. I approached him, and he put up a lot of barriers before letting me present my proposal to the board. I nodded. Just as I thought. Did Jason entertain you when he finally let you speak to the board? Her sigh gave her away. Trying to gather her thoughts, she asked, Why do you think that? I grinned. Do you know why I was good at my job, Amy? I've always made profiles of everyone I meet, including you. My mistake was trusting you unconditionally because I loved you. That cost me dearly, so I adjusted your profile. As my grandfather said, there's no point in getting older if you're not getting smarter. I assess people by their words and actions to see if they fit their profile. Knowing Jason, I doubt he cares if you succeed. If you fail, he'll blame the board for approving your proposal. I saw a glimmer of realization in her eyes as I continued. If you succeed, Jason gets the credit for bringing in a promising executive. If you fail, he'll just point fingers at the board. Jason doesn't care if you're smart enough or foolish enough to think you can pull this off. As long as you keep him entertained, he'll be satisfied. You're on your own, Amy, a small fish in a big pond full of hungry piranhas. Amy clutched the napkin tightly. Everything I'd said was true, and she seemed frightened by the reality of her situation, but she still tried to deny it. So, you don't think I can do it? I shrugged. No, Amy, I know you can't. I saw anger building in Amy, but continued. It would take a huge Saturn V rocket to launch you from your VP position into corporate oblivion. Where will your precious security be then, Amy? I turned away to calm myself. From what I hear, you've only managed to spin your wheels and create so much smoke that everyone else struggles to do their jobs. I'll be surprised if the next shareholders meeting doesn't announce a 25% drop in profits. But that's just speculation. No matter how you spin it, it all comes down to your reasons for starting this. You said you loved me and did it for both of us. Amy shuddered but nodded. But really, it's all about your safety, not ours. If you loved me, you would have tried to stop me from working myself to pass away. You called me a heart attack waiting to happen. I paused, then continued. You didn't try to stop me, or if you did, it wasn't convincing. You just waited for me to drop dead. You could have threatened divorce to make me think about us. Your infidelity made me realize things. That's why I'm here now, and feeling great. I love you, Sam. I didn't want to divorce you. You didn't want to divorce me, but you were willing to let me work myself to pass away. Does that sound loving? I finished sarcastically. Amy couldn't refute my arguments and couldn't bear to look at me. I didn't mean what I said then, and I love you even now. I regret a lot of what I said, Amy pleaded. My grim face must have shown doubt. I'm sure you believe what you're saying, Amy, but that doesn't change our situation. Don't you realize I can't trust you now, either personally or in business? I've decided to end this discussion. You made it to the top. Now you'll have to wait for Jason to retire or disappear before you can aim for CEO. You've decided this is a good time to solidify your position and go for that coveted role. Amy tried to object, but I stopped her. Your plan is clear. Take over my old firm and get me to work hard again to benefit you. I'm amazed you expected me to follow your orders. When I kicked you out, I thought it was clear I wasn't weak. Maybe it was my fault for setting you up to fail. I saw Amy struggling to hold it together. One moment I blamed you. The next, I was taking responsibility. You're talking nonsense, Sam. I think you're the one with it backward, she countered. I hung my head and sighed in despair. Good, Amy. You've heard being cruel to be kind. I wasn't being kind. I led you on and then had to cut you down harshly. Instead, I went to Jason and made him fulfill his promise to make you a GP. I didn't want to see you left to suffer, even though you deserved it. I made a mistake by making you think there was a chance I'd take you back. Your love cards on my birthday, Christmas, and other occasions proved that. I checked the sauce and added water to the nearly dry pot. If I did what I should have, you'd have disappeared to some unknown place to start over. That's what I want you to do now. Walk away and start over. Tears streamed down her face. You might have to go back to a secretarial job, but it won't be as bad as staying and fighting. You'll be lucky if you're allowed to lick stamps while some post office idiot entertains you. I watched as my words sank in. Her defiance, not humility, made me sad. I know I hurt you, Sam. I berate myself every day for it, but what you said is just evil. You don't believe in me, yet I believe in you. Well, if that's how you feel, watch and I'll show you how it's done. At that moment, there was a knock at the door. Come in, I said irritably. Is everything okay, Sam? I'm sorry if I'm interrupting, Vivian asked. I sighed, realizing I'd lost my temper, and checked my watch. I'm sorry, Vivian. Please don't come in. Amy was just leaving. I glared at Amy, waiting for her to get up. Amy looked at Vivian standing in the doorway. She was younger, maybe by 5 or 10 years, and very pretty with long, flowing, dark blonde hair. Amy's face showed her realization of why Vivian was here. She turned to me, saw the food simmering on the stove, and began to cry as she understood the situation. I glanced at the dinner I was making for Vivian and me, recognizing what Amy was thinking. What? You thought this was for you? I told you this wasn't a social event. Don't be upset that I invited a friend to dinner. We broke up years ago. The only reason I let you come here was to knock some sense into you. Amy stood up, head down, and rushed past Vivian, muttering, Tell Megan I'll be waiting in the car. I hope I didn't make things worse, Vivian said, watching Amy leave. I can go if you need to deal with this. Can I tell Jillian I don't need her as a babysitter? It's not your fault. I'm glad you showed up when you did. I hugged Vivian and kissed her cheek. You can watch the pasta for a minute. I need to tell Megan our meeting is over and she can take Amy home. I stepped out onto the back terrace and saw Megan napping in the afternoon sun. Amy's words echoed in my mind. Now that she was vice president, she had removed all the obstacles blocking my ideas, and it got me thinking. How do you like the view? I asked. It's just like you said, Sam. Amazing. Megan smiled, closing her eyes. How did it go in there? I didn't hear any fire shots. Not well. She's not backing down. She's in the car waiting for you. Can I ask you something? Sure, Sam. You can ask me anything. I smiled weakly. How do you see your future at work? How ambitious are you, Megan? Her eyes widened at the unusual question. I'm not sure what you're getting at, Sam, but if it's what I think, I'd like to get Amy's job first. She stood up. I know I can do it well, but I won't compromise my values. Why do you ask? I think it's time to end this circus, I said determinedly. Can you contact Kevin Paxton and meet me in town in 3 weeks? I might have an offer for both of you. Megan nodded. I led Megan back inside, where she saw Vivian at the stove. She poked me in the ribs, whispering, Now I see why Amy ran off, you old dog. Megan's look made me smirk. She's gorgeous and probably the final nail in Amy's coffin. Amy is out of her league. Never was in her league. I'm not even in her league. She's licking her wounded pride right now. I nodded, appreciating Vivian's beauty. And she's just as lovely on the inside. Vivian looked up as I introduced Megan. Nice to meet you. Sam has so many women in his life, I'm not sure he has room for me, she said hesitantly. Megan chuckled. Don't worry about the other women you see Sam with. He's a one-woman man, sweetheart, and from what I can tell, he's got his eye on you. Watch out, though. Sam can be a real charmer when he's interested. I wasn't sure what Megan meant, as we hadn't been in social situations together. I felt my face redden. I think you've said enough for one night, Megan. It's time to leave. As I nudged her toward the front door, she looked back with a final comment. If you're smart, Vivian, you won't let this guy slip away. She kissed me on the cheek and said goodbye. Be smart. I'll see you in 3 weeks. Vivian and I sat on the back deck, sipping Merlot and watching the waterfowl. We chatted casually about the day, and I told Vivian the details of my failed marriage to Amy and its aftermath. You don't want to do this, do you, Sam? Vivian observed. No, I don't, I admitted, but it has to be done. I can't let everyone lose their jobs because I took the easy way out. I have no choice. After a pause, Vivian said, You know, Amy still has feelings for you. I almost laughed. I knew that before, but I don't think so now, not after what I said to her today. I was harsh, but it didn't seem to matter. Vivian smiled. For all your toughness, it's clear you care about others, Sam, including Amy. We women appreciate that quality in our men. I had no response, so I went back to my beer. Vivian patted my arm reassuringly. I believe you'll do the right thing for everyone. I nodded with a grim feeling. But I'm afraid not everyone will agree. You didn't make her bed, Sam. She did, and now she has to lie in it, Vivian said, breaking the silence after a couple of minutes. I was lost in my thoughts when she caught me off guard. Speaking of beds, when are you going to show me yours? Her statement came out of nowhere and surprised me. Huh? Vivian chuckled. Megan told me that if I wanted you, I shouldn't hesitate. She said, if you're smart, Vivian, you won't let this guy out of your grasp. So here I am, holding on to someone I think is worth it. So you're interested in more than just a platonic relationship. I sounded like a nervous teenager testing the waters, my poor track record with women making it hard to look her in the eye. Vivian giggled. You're blushing, Sam. My ears burned, and a sheepish grin spread across my face. You sure know how to make a guy feel awkward. I rubbed my face to regain my composure. That day I walked into your store, saw you looking shattered, and offered my help. I felt like a knight in shining armor rescuing a damsel in distress. Her smile was priceless. You were my knight on his trusty steed that day, and you still are, Vivian said, kissing my cheek affectionately. Since that day, I've depended on you. Now I understand why you've supported me all these months. She paused, seeing my confusion. It must have been hard when Amy showed you weren't needed. Well, if it helps, I need you, Sam. I haven't felt this comfortable and relaxed since Greg died. Yes, it's a man thing. Amy didn't understand it, and I couldn't explain it either. Vivian patted my arm reassuringly. You've been good to me, Sam, and I appreciate it. It wasn't until Megan's antics that I realized I had more than friendly feelings for you. So, do you want to take it to the next level? Vivian's face showed sincerity and hope. Well, madam, if you insist, I shall have to show you my etchings, I said with a sly grin. Vivian's face lit up. Forget the etchings. I'm more interested in the tool you used to make them. We both laughed as she stood up and headed for the door, saying, "Race you to the bedroom." Later, I saw Kevin and Megan watching me walk into the restaurant. My mood must have been obvious. Kevin stood up and offered his hand. "Long time no see, old friend. It's great to see you after all these years. You look 10 years younger." I smiled, shaking Kevin's hand. "It's good to see you too. I'm doing great. How's life?" "Ooh, average to average. Can't complain because no one ever listens," Kevin said. I smiled and kissed Megan on the cheek. "You look as radiant as ever. I don't know what you saw in this brute, but I hope he treated you well," Megan chuckled. "He may be rough, but I like the rugged type." "How do you know?" Kevin asked. I smiled. "Because I'm a people watcher. I saw your reaction when I asked Kevin to be here today. I think you two would make a formidable team." Kevin grinned. "Speaking of which, what's the offer?" I chuckled. "Straight to business, Kevin. You'll never change." "Okay, let's talk business. Then we can relax and enjoy the food." As the waitress served our drinks, I began. "The company is in serious trouble. If nothing is done soon, everyone will be looking for new jobs. As you know, options are limited." I pulled several folders from my briefcase and handed a white one to Kevin. "Feel free to disagree or add anything." While Kevin studied the folder, I opened another. "Here's a list of people you need to get on your side. I'll leave it to you to figure out how." Kevin flipped through the folder. "It's clear you've thought this through. Not only are you targeting JPL and Amy, but also Dobson Inc. and Jason." I saw Kevin's expression and knew what he was thinking. "We don't have a choice, Kevin. Since Dobson bought out JPL, we need to attack from both sides. My original focus was on JPL, but now we must target Dobson's board too. If you can get the board on your side and Megan handles JPL, we have a chance, albeit a small one." Kevin handed the folder to Megan. "You're right. Sam's situation is more than dire. It's anorexic. But I see potential. It wouldn't hurt to involve Jack Deacon. He's a master at accounting." I nodded grimly. "Jack is a genius with numbers, but we didn't get along. He never liked me." Megan nodded while looking through the folder. "I agree with Kevin. Jack should be involved for his creative accounting skills. I'll talk to him first." Kevin picked up the second folder and examined the list of names. "I'm not sure I can meet some of these people, let alone bring them on board." I smirked at Kevin's doubt. "What do you think I've been doing for the last 3 weeks? There's one name, Slovak, that I couldn't get close to. If he's not on board, none of this will work. How did you become so influential?" "Influential? My back. If I were that good, Slovak would be on our side." I handed Kevin another folder. "This is a list of meetings you have scheduled with everyone except Slovak." Megan looked up from the folder. "Isn't Slovak Jerry Cambridge's uncle? Maybe Jerry can arrange a meeting with him." Kevin and I exchanged glances and shrugged. Kevin asked, "Can you figure this out, Megan?" Megan smiled. "I have a meeting with Jerry tomorrow about the trip plans. I'll ask him then." This made me feel a bit better. "I've organized the times and dates for you. Things are getting messy, even in the higher levels of government." I outlined my concerns, but didn't have a solid plan yet. "We need to finalize the details and get everyone together to complete the final version." Megan shook her head. "I can't believe Jason didn't see this coming." "Oh, he knows," I scoffed. "He just doesn't care. He has a scapegoat, and Amy's in for a nasty surprise when he betrays her." Megan wrinkled her nose sympathetically. "Amy may be selfish, but she doesn't deserve that." I nodded. "Jason will need to act before the next quarterly meeting to stay clean. We must act quickly and precisely. If we impress the big shots, we'll succeed." Kevin shook his head. "You think we're going to accept your offer?" I smiled. "Come on, Kevin, think about it. What do you have to lose? If Amy could pitch her ideas, you can do it too. You haven't found a job that matches your skills, have you? I know you have issues with Amy, and Jason isn't on your Christmas list either." I nodded to Megan. "She believes in you as much as I do. You'll run with it. I've done all I can. Now you just need to bring home the bacon." Kevin laughed along with Megan. "All tied up with a neat pink ribbon," he said sarcastically. Megan frowned. "What about Jason? He won't give up without a fight, and he has the support to sabotage us before we even start," she said, looking through the second folder. I grinned. "Leave Jason to me. You won't have to deal with him. Just keep Amy busy so she doesn't do something stupid like commit professional self-destruction while taking everyone else down." Megan smirked. "After your conversation the other day, she's our least worry. Vivian's presence rattled her, and now she's determined to prove you wrong. You really messed with her head, Sam. I've had to tweak a lot of her proposals just to make her look somewhat competent. Kevin, Megan, and I enjoyed our meal while discussing our plans. As we said our goodbyes, we arranged to meet again in 2 days with others to finalize our strategy. The meeting was heated. Megan and Kevin had brought in a half-dozen allies to help. Jack Deacon was one of them, and as I predicted, he was hostile but listened. "Let me see the financial packet," he demanded. We watched as he quickly reviewed the numbers. "This is nonsense, Beckman. You can't substantiate these numbers." I wanted to snap at him, but managed to stay calm. "They're just estimates, projected approximations." Deacon smiled sarcastically. "Don't quit your day job, Beckman. These numbers are as unreliable as weather forecasts. It's time to show the money." I knew I had to handle him carefully. "Listen, Deacon, can I call you Jack? I know we haven't seen each other since Amy took over, but you're here because you're the best at what you do." I could see his chest heaving, sensing I was on the right track. Jack grinned. "I may seem like a mere laborer to you, but I'm not so socially inferior that I don't recognize being patronized." I gritted my teeth in annoyance. "I know that sounded patronizing, but it doesn't make my words any less true." I addressed everyone in the room. "What will you do when the next shareholders' meeting rolls around? I don't care if you agree with this proposal or not. I can leave and return to my life, letting you figure out how to get in line for unemployment. Jack, you're a genius with numbers and can get a job quickly. But what about them? We need you to get creative and make those projections work." I saw the gears turning in his mind. "So this isn't some scam to move your wife up the corporate ladder?" I shook my head sadly. "No, Jack, she's my ex-wife. She'll be lucky to shuffle papers in a dark, windowless room if we pull this off. I regret not burning that bridge when I divorced her. I'm here to fix that mistake. Whether this takeover works or not, both she and Jason will be history. I guarantee it." Jack looked around the room and then back at the folder. "You know, Sam, I've been doing so much with so little for so long. Now I have the chance to do everything with nothing." He grinned widely. "What's the deadline for this miracle?" I looked at Kevin. "I need it by 3 p.m. tomorrow," he replied cautiously. "Holy crap!" Jack exclaimed, eyes wide. "I'm fine, Kevin, but even God would struggle to sort this out by then." We all exchanged glances, and I started to worry that my plan might fail. Then Jack said something surprising. "If I pull this off, I want a sign on my desk that says, God," he joked. After a moment, Kevin grinned. "I'll personally engrave it, and everyone will kneel and pay their respects if you bring me those numbers by 3 p.m. tomorrow." We all sighed in relief. "Okay, folks, we're burning the midnight oil. Call whoever you need to and get to work." Megan asked if she could invite some of the girls from the typing group to help. "It's your choice, Megan. Show us what you can do. I'm here to help with any questions, but it's up to you now," I said, handing control to her. "Oh my God," she exclaimed, glaring at Kevin. "Sam's right, honey. Pull yourself together and show everyone they can rely on you in a crisis." Kevin and I stepped back as Megan took a deep breath and got to work. Within an hour, she was organizing groups and brainstorming ideas. Jack argued with her until she snapped. "I don't care how many people you need to bring in to meet the deadline, Jack. You know what we're up against, so just do it, okay?" Kevin chuckled. "I think you were right, Sam. She is a hard worker." I smiled at Kevin's pride in her. I lightly slapped his arm. "I never doubted it, Kevin." I tapped my temple in agreement and went to help. I walked into Jason's office, past his shocked secretary. "I'm sorry, sir, but you can't go in there." Jason waved her away in disgust. "It's okay, Lynn. What's this Beckman invasion about?" Clearly, Jason was upset to see me. "That's no way to start a negotiation, Jason. I'd think a man of your business acumen would know when to be a bit more contrite." I wore a menacing smile. Jason sat back, waiting. I knew in a battle of wills, the first to speak loses. Jason, sweating, finally interrupted. "Are you just going to stand there? Or are you going to tell me why you're here? I have a shareholders meeting in an hour." "I'm here to help you pack, idiot," I informed him. "And where am I supposed to go?" Jason clearly didn't like how this was going. "I don't care where you go as long as you're out of here by the end of the day," I said with a grin. "But I'd suggest moving to another state, maybe even the other side of the country." "What if I refuse to leave? I'm close to retirement and not giving up my lucrative package for someone like you." I shook my head. "You have 2 choices. Resign now and walk away with what you have, or stay and watch me dismantle your life, including your family. You'll be lucky to afford a cup of coffee." Jason frowned. I did what you wanted. I made Amy vice president, and she now controls JPL. Why the threats? We've never met, but I thought you kept your word. What changed your mind? Are you coming after me because of the past? I leaned forward, placing both hands on his desk, our faces inches apart. You changed my mind. I was holding up my end until you broke it. Now you pay. You screwed Amy over and let her present a doomed proposal to the board. You saw a chance to kill two birds with one stone, knowing she'd turn to me for help, and you knew I wouldn't. You broke our agreement, and now I demand payment. Sweat trickled down Jason's face as he listened, realizing everything I said was true. I didn't break our deal, Beckman. She came to me. I only gave her a chance to prove herself. If she's in this position, it's her fault. Don't crap me, you lowlife, I said, sweeping items off his desk in anger. You could have stopped her. Even a fifth grader could see she had no chance without your help. It was your choice, and you made the wrong one. Now fix it. Resign or watch your life get destroyed. Jason's face showed a range of emotions, and I enjoyed watching him struggle. I doubt you have enough on me to follow through on your threats, he said. I smiled, watching him mentally hit dead ends. Do you think I've been idle? I have dirt on your affairs, corporate fraud, embezzlement, and more. Your choice, jail or retirement. I saw realization dawn in his eyes as he understood his only option was to leave. Kevin Paxton is talking to your board right now with a plan that will ruin you. When I leave here, I'm handing everything I have to them. That broke Jason. He pressed the intercom. Lynn, come in with a pad and pencil. I need to dictate a letter. I walked to his wine cabinet and poured a scotch. No need to hurry, Jason. You win. I'll be gone by the end of the day. As I sipped my drink, his secretary entered and sat to take dictation. No problem, Jason. I'll make sure to send your email. Lynette sensed the tension as she waited for Jason to start dictating. By the time he finished, she could barely contain her laughter and quickly left the office. Seeing her reaction, I knew Jason wouldn't have time to gather his belongings before leaving. As he exited his office for the last time, I called out, I hear the weather is nice at the South Pole this time of year. I won't be looking for you there. Have a good day, Jason. Lynette returned a few minutes later and hugged me. Thank you, Mr. Beckman. Thank you so much. I pulled back, confused. Why are you thanking me? Tears welled up in Lynette's eyes. Jason tried to blackmail me. He's been making advances, just hints so far, but I think he planned to push harder if I didn't comply. I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you've done. I was furious that Jason had behaved this way. I knew Amy had served her time, and now Jason was targeting Lynette. I decided his fate was sealed, and his marriage was likely in jeopardy. If all goes well, he will just ask you to do your job well. He's a fair and honest man who values employee loyalty. Lynette kissed me on the cheek. You're on my Christmas list now, and I'll try to talk my husband into naming our next son after you, she grinned. Thanks again for your help. She handed me the envelope. Typing this letter was the most fun I've ever had. 6 months later, I walked into the same office Jason had left. Good morning, Lynn. Is the boss in? Good morning, Mr. Beckman. Yes, Mr. Paxton is expecting you. As I reached for the door, she added, Mr. Beckman, you were right. He's everything a secretary could want in a boss. Thanks again. I grinned as I opened the door. My pleasure, Lynn. And call me Sam. Mr. Beckman was my father. Lynette chuckled and waved. I asked, sinking into a chair, how does it feel to be CEO of one of the most profitable companies in the stock market? Sam, you old idiot. Where have you been? How are you? I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you've done for everyone, especially Megan and me. She still pinches herself every morning to make sure it's not a dream. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, really? How do you know that? Are you waking up next to her? Is a mini merger planned? I joked. Kevin shrugged. We're in the negotiation stage, but a deal is likely soon. Megan would love to have you at the signing. And I hear you have a little filly you're nursing too. I laughed. Exactly. You had a business to save. I had one to build. Vivian is a fine thoroughbred. If I get the chance, I'll hitch my wagon to her. As our banter subsided, Kevin asked more seriously, Have you heard about Amy? I grew solemn. Yes, Megan called when she was taken to the hospital. The stress was too much and she snapped. Megan asked if I would visit her, but I thought it would only make things worse until she gets professional help. Kevin nodded. Yeah, you're probably right. Megan feels a bit sorry for her. She might offer Amy an entry-level position at JPL, maybe as a secretary. I hope that doesn't offend you. I shook my head. No, I don't hate her. I don't even like her anymore. She's just someone I once knew. I hope she gets better and moves on. Kevin leaned back. So, No desire to come back? I could find you a good job with a great financial package. I grinned. Not a chance. Besides, you don't need me. From what I hear, you've got God working for you now. Kevin burst into laughter. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about Jack. He got his plaque and earned everyone's respect. You were right. He's a math genius. For a while, he was a hotshot. I'd walk into board meetings an hour before the shareholders' meeting with his financial report in hand. Kevin giggled. What's so funny? I asked. I was just thinking about how Jack looked when the girls would sneak up on him. We'll see how socially awkward he is when he tries to figure out women with math formulas. If he succeeds, I'll believe he's a god. I laughed. I would have loved to see that and attend the board meeting, but I had other business. While you were grooming board members, poor Jason was sweating at the table you now occupy. Kevin smiled. If you ever need a job, let me know. I shook my head. I have what I want now. Vivian and I have opened our family resort. I'm here to offer you corporate rates for Thanksgiving weekend. You could have contests and promote team building. Kevin nodded. I think we can agree. Maybe a fishing contest or two will foster camaraderie. Vivian and I were invited to Kevin and Megan's wedding, and now they have 2 wonderful boys. They are still a formidable team in the business world. At Christmas, we get cards from Lynn and her family. She even talked her husband into naming their next child after me. Her name is Samantha, short for Sam. Jason hasn't been heard from since his wife dumped his clothes on the lawn and turned on the sprinklers. His Elvis autographed guitar became a necklace for his favorite garden gnome after Nancy dropped it on his head. I assume he's hunting penguins in Antarctica to keep warm, but that's just a rumor. And Amy, after getting the help she needed to recover from what Jason did to her, she accepted Megan's offer for an entry-level secretary job. She sold her luxurious mansion and bought a modest apartment within walking distance of work. She'll never be part of the elite business environment again, but she has her own home and will work until retirement. I talked to her at the corporate Thanksgiving party at the lake. She was hesitant to come until Megan convinced her to unwind. We chatted and she apologized for her arrogance, admitting she was out of line. I also apologized for jeopardizing her safety, but it was necessary to save everyone else's jobs. After therapy, she realized how flawed her thinking had been. She even laughed when I told her about Jason's downfall. She had a relaxing weekend, mostly sunbathing with coworkers. I don't know much about her social life, but Megan mentioned she occasionally dates but rarely stays in a relationship for long. Honestly, I don't have time to think about it. It's her life, and she has to live with it. 6 months later, Vivian and I got married and moved her and Bessie into my cottage. I watched as she took out a picture of her late husband, Greg, from her suitcase, kissed it, and placed it in a drawer. Touched, I walked over, pulled out a picture of Glory, and placed it on her dressing table. Greg deserves to see his wife happy, well-groomed, and loved, don't you think? Vivian smiled tearfully and hugged me. You're a good man, Samuel. I think Greg and you would have been great friends. My guardian angel has been looking out for me, and now I have 2 soulmates. I felt splendid, better than I had in years. When Bessie is old enough, you'll have to tell her all about her father. They both deserve that. Our fishing resort is growing steadily. Jillian now has an apartment attached to the store, so we always know where to find her. We've added more cabins with docks for weekend fishing enthusiasts. I spend most days in my workshop doing boat repairs and general maintenance. Vivian runs the store, and Bessie, now 5, is always underfoot. I've become a father figure to her, the only one she's ever known. Last summer, we surprised her with a little brother, Brady, who has temporarily relieved her of some of our attention. I fuss over both of them, and even my doctor is pleased. Maybe I should send Amy a thank you card. Just kidding.